Now, do you think objects are alive?
Mm, it's yes or no, as all of my other answers. Some objects are dead.
Like which ones?
Mm, well, every object could have a spirit, but spirits are given by people. And well, think about this: what's an object? A human, a body is also an object. An object like this, that is also an object, but they are made of millions of particles. Those particles they are moving, so they are alive. They have energies. So in that sense, all the objects they are alive, same as human beings. Human beings and objects they are all sorts of particles. So one particle can influence another particle using different resonance and frequencies. That's a scientific explanation, and interested people can refer to Einstein and many other scientists for that. But also I've been getting a little bit superstitious since last October and September, and I believe every object could have a more spirit than particles, like particles energy, like those kind of like
But relating to, for
atomic
example,
energy.
if you have a tree,
Hmm.
do you think a tree is alive?
A tree is definitely alive. A
So
tree
if
is
you cut the tree up and you take a piece of wood out of the tree, is a piece of wood alive?
yes. For example, I treat all of my objects as if they are alive. For example, if so say if I drop my laptop or if I drop my bag really heavily to the ground, I'll say sorry. I just do that, even it's dead. Well, is it dead or not? I don't know, but I just think for me, I want to treat everybody, every object I interact with, in the best manner I can. So I say sorry, and in evening when I go to sleep, I'll say thank you so much, my bag, for carrying my stuff for me today. I know why I do that. Maybe just to
As
generate that good
our
energy.
object, since you were talking about you, how, for example, because it is your bag and nobody can grab it, and nobody, is your protection. You have to protect it. So our objects are part of you.
They're not a part of me. Well, I give them protection right now. Yes, they are a part of me, but even my body is not a part of me. They are a part of the big universe, all of us.
But your body, or for example, your bag, if no, if somebody tries to touch you or somebody tries to enter your body, it's a part of you. You're like, don't do that. So same way with your objects. If somebody, you don't let people touch your objects, like your bag, you don't let strangers touch your bag, or you don't let strangers, you know. So that's what my question would be: if do you feel like when you wake up in the morning that it's like, this is my room, these are my things, or how do you
Mm,
relate to them? Like,
to a lesser degree, like I'm totally fine with strangers touching my bag, but not strangers stealing my bag because that's my property. Like I have property rights to it. Because if they steal it, then I have to pay extra to get my bag back. But meanwhile, Meanwhile, I do think that the bags belong to me at this period of time. Someday, because I told you I lose things all the time, even bags, laptops, like anything you can think of. So if it doesn't belong to me, say somebody, maybe God or whoever, like tomorrow, and then he says, this bag that won't belong to you anymore, so I lose this bag. Okay, I'm fine with it. Our relationship ends. It's like a boyfriend and girlfriend.
and then when objects leave your life, do you still remember them?
Not really.
So, like, so once an object leaves, you don't remember it. You don't mind that you like if okay, like you don't mind losing them and stuff like that. Like,
I don't mind. For example, I really don't mind. The gone is the gone. For me, the only memory, even memories with people, the same thing. The gone is gone. Like when I'm done with the thing, it's done. Because the tomorrow, me tomorrow, and it's different. It's another me. It's not the same me as me today. Like I only exist in the moment. So yesterday, zoo of yesterday is not the same zoo as the zoo that's talking now. I evolved, I grew up, or whatsoever, something happened to me and I become another person.
And
So same as objects, same as people. The only memory that persisted to me right now is the memories of my grandfather, and all the others, boyfriend gone. Well, they built me to today, but I really don't think. For example, I lost a record, an audio record from my past grandpa. My grandpa is my favorite person in this world, but then I lost my old, super old laptop, so I lost that record audio. It was it really hurts my heart because that's the only audio of my grandpa in this world. Um, but well, I lost it, so what I can do? So the lost, but the gone is gone.
okay, and like, so you had a tape of your grandfather, and then that was the object. So, I mean, like, how do you relate to that? Was it like just what was it, a tape or just in your hard drive in the computer?
It was in my computer.
And then it's like when you listen to the tape, or it's how long was the tape?
It's a 20 minutes record just before my grandpa passed away. And so I asked him, so he was advising me some. I was a little girl back then, it was 5 years ago. So he was like saying, he was like telling me something about life, and I wanted to become a politician back then, and I'm still really keen on politics, but not anytime soon, in 20 or 30 years. But he was like, oh, don't be a politician, it's not good, and politicians are bad, blah blah blah. So he was like telling me something about life, and from the conversation was around 20 minutes. He talked the most, and he was being very protective, and that's the thing I love about him, because who doesn't love a man that loves you the most?
And then okay, and then so when you lost the hard drive, do you? I mean that's because I did the same thing. I recorded audio of this person I really care about, and I listened to it, and it is like I'm reliving being with them. You know, it's like I mean I'm not speaking to them right now, and they're actually not aware that I'm doing that, and they're still alive. But I am. It's like I am. They're there in the form of a file and stuff like that. Um, I mean, how is that possible? I just don't. You know, like it would be the same thing. Well, I wanted to ask you this other thing. Like, how do you explain that we can listen to something, like we can listen to something, we know it's audio of the person, and our minds, we're building the memories, we remember what they're saying, but it's not a person, it's just a copy. What is it, a copy of the person, or what is it? I mean,
no, I don't think so. I think one person only exists for the period of time, because over the long course of time, for me, there are two worlds. One world is called the universe. It's the oneness. Everybody, every object, everything is this oneness. That's why, as a human, you understand me, I understand him, and he understands someone else. We understand the object, understand the pain, the sorrows. When we read the books from 1,000 years ago, we relate to that person. After 1,000 years, so many things changed. We still understand the core of it because we are the same thing. And same as my grandpa or the person you care about, they recall that thing. It's the same thinking, same logic we can relate to. But the oneness, it's very abstract. However, us being mortals, humans, we are limited by the materialistic world. And the limitation, death is a part of limitation. My grandpa died, he will not appear again. The person you care about, I don't know where he or she is, but they're not with you that moment particularly. The recording time was in the past, but time is also a trick. Time is an imagination. So yeah.
well, okay, I want to ask you, do you think objects have morality? Like, are they good or bad?
What?
Morality, like, you know, people have morality, they're good and bad. Do you think objects have morality? Like, you know, like that, because I mean, yeah, like, it's an abstract question, but
I wouldn't say so, because for me, I don't know. We have morality because we made the rules. of out of societies, and we know killings are not good now. Um, but objects, I'm not sure if they have a rule or not. I haven't thought about that questions too much.
And then now, do you think how you feel towards object changes? So basically, like, you know, how you feel to that person changes. Like from the moment you saw this necklace, it's been 5 months now you've been with it. How has it changed, or has it changed at all? Like, has it been the same thing all the time?
It's pretty much the same thing all the time. I feel like objects for me, one object, they last for a period of time and they stay in that period of time and with me. And when I became another person, like very different person, I lost that object. It served its purpose and it's done.
So did that object? So the object did not change meaning. You changed meaning. I mean, you changed your personality, and then that makes the that distance. I mean, that changes what how you see the object. Is that what you mean?
Mhm. Um.
But like, for example, this particular object, like the necklace, that when your mom gave it to you, you you felt that way, and then do you still feel like the exact same way, or you feel more strongly about it that it's been 5 months or less?
It's no. There's no adding emotions and no deductive emotions either. As I said, from the beginning, I'm quite sure 80% of chance I'm going to lose it at one point, and at that point, this thing was and its purpose. So I think for me, it wasn't. This object stays the same. Like as time goes by, I don't feel adding emotions to it because there's nothing to add. Like it's not like my guy and I, we can do things together, and then our relationship becomes better, more intimate. With this object, I love it to a certain extent, and someday when I have to evolve into another form of me, so.
But also the fact that, for example, you mentioned the idea of like doing things, because when you are with a person, you are doing activities. Like with an object, unless it's a bicycle, I mean, like, or a basketball. To you know, to basketball players, I'm sure it means a lot more than to regular people. Then you can do things with it. So, like, so then that if doing something with the object, it brings you closer to the object.
It won't. For me, I'm quite attached to all the objects because, as you said, like whether objects are alive or dead, I believe every object they are alive by themselves, but for me they're dead. So there's no attachment to me to any objects. No matter how much emotional attachments I have or whatever memories I have with the objects, but they are constructed on the basis that what I did was the person that gave meaning to this object.
Great. Now let me ask you a final thing. Do you have anything else to say? I mean, like any other comments or anything?
Yeah, if we're gonna show this film, just cherish the moment with the people. I think people are the most important thing.
Okay.
Not the objects.
Okay. So do you think people are more important than objects?
Yes, in our mortal world, but in the end, nothing matters because you're gonna die. Yeah.
Sounds great.